Hey family, it's Tasha MamabearPrepping. I just realized I left my coffee over there, so get your coffee, pull up, let's talk about it. Welcome to the channel, welcome back to the channel. I want to welcome you here where we talk about emergency preparedness, food preservation, all that good stuff. So today what I want to talk about is obviously it's no secret that things that are going on weather-wise, storm-wise right now, going through the country into the East Coast. And it's not done yet, okay? And what's crazy is I'm going to try not to delve too deep in this one today, but I'm going to basically tell you, how do you prepare for natural disasters? You guys, natural disasters, first of all, are never going away. They're never going away. They're always going to be here. You actually can figure out, depending on where you live, what you need to do to prepare, right? What could happen to where you live. But let me tell you, this weather stuff, one, is getting worse and worse every single year. Two, whether it's being manipulated or not, it isn't going away. And it's very disturbing when you think of the fact of, what's going on, what's causing the weather to continue to get worse. There's areas that have never seen certain things. They're all of a sudden seeing certain things. I mean, we've had, the storm in Texas last year. We have the storms going on right now in the South and, the middle of the country, right? We had crazy flooding a little bit earlier in Tennessee, all the way up to New York, New Jersey, like crazy stuff. We've had flooding in Canada and Washington area, unprecedented flooding that we're not used to, right? We have crazy earthquakes going on right now in Oregon, right? So we have all this stuff that's happening, but there's things that are happening in areas that they normally don't happen in, or extreme, way more than what they are actually used to having happen there. Could tornadoes hit Kentucky? Yes, of course, that's possible. Tornadoes usually hit all around that state, right? And maybe an occasional one does come through, but nothing to the devastation that we're seeing now in several states. And what's devastating is not just the hardcore stuff that they're showing on the TV, but think about all the families around them, surrounding them, that are affected as well, that don't have phone service, that don't have power, okay? That don't have things, or were not prepared, okay? And so it's not going away. So how do you prepare? Somebody asked me the other day, as soon as that happened, well, how do you prepare for that? And I would say that there's still things, if I was forced to live in an area where I knew there was tornadoes, there is absolute things that I would do to prepare the best that I could, right? To fortify and prepare and protect my family the best I could. But at the end of the day, I'm not in charge. God's in charge. Whatever's supposed to happen is going to happen. And you have to give that to him. And you have to give release, okay? Because you can't live in fear, okay? Can you prepare though? Yes, okay? To a degree. And so that's what I want to talk about. So I'm going to give you guys today 7 ways to prepare for natural disasters. And it's actually fairly easy to figure out how to do this, okay? So number one thing is assess your risk where you live. So you're simply going to decide or say, what is the risk where I live right now, right? What area of the country do you live in, and what does that area have, right? Does that area deal with hurricanes? Does that area deal with tornadoes? Is it both? Do you live in kind of that little area where you could get hit by both of those? Maybe you live in an area with heavy snow, heavy storms. Maybe it's an area with heavy flooding, right? You live by a lot of bodies of water and there's flooding that you have to worry about. Maybe it's below zero temperatures is what you have to deal with, right? Maybe it's a ton of rain. Maybe it's fires that you have to deal with. You have to worry about fires popping up, burning your house down, right? Maybe it's earthquakes, right? So what is it that you deal with or makes sense, common sense, you would have to deal with in the area that you live in? And then you are assessing your risk, okay? Yes, we're in this area. We have a high risk of tornadoes every single year. We have a season and we have to worry about that, okay? Or hurricane season or fire season, right? We have to worry about that, okay? Something as simple as just it rains a lot and where you live is a flood zone or is known to flood. That is something that is going to happen all the time that you would need to prepare, okay? So assessing the risk is the number one thing. What is it that happens where you live? Number 2 is determining the cost at living in that place, right? With that assessed risk, right? If you know you live somewhere where it's hurricanes, nobody can tell you this, but you are the one that decides, is the risk acceptable? You feel confident in your preparedness and things that you can do, and it's worth it still to live there, even at the cost of possibly losing your home or damaging your home, right? Either wiping it off or just damaging it from a heavy duty storm or whatever, right? What is the cost, and are you willing to accept that? Okay. Because if you're not, then you need to totally shift and be moving to somewhere else. Now, I tell you though, there's going to be natural disasters. You can shift, a lot, right? And there are safer places, but at the end of the day, anything can happen, right? I would tell you right now that my concern is trying to figure out where to go, because that's what we're trying to do, right? Where's the safest place to go? Where's the place that has the things that we want, the must-haves? But again, manipulation of weather, different things going on, weather patterns changing. I'm concerned that, even if you picked a place that doesn't have something that we wouldn't have to deal with that someday. Okay. I'm not feeling like I'd be safe. Like, hey, if I go somewhere, I never have to deal with a tornado. I'm not very trusting of that. Okay. But I digress, you guys. I'm getting off topic a little bit. All right. So what is the cost, and is it worth it to you to stay there, or do you need to shift? Number 3 is build robust, detailed emergency plans, right? So like anything else we talk about, is you need to be building your emergency plans for everything that, could happen to you, right? You need to have a plan for, hey, if grid down, what happens? What do we do? At what juncture do we do things? You need to have an emergency plan if you had to leave, right? What are the emergency plans or situations that could happen that would make you leave the home, or which ones do you stay in, right? You need to have your emergency plans, which things make you bug out, which things make you dig in. Most things should have you digging in, but again, with natural disasters, a lot of times that has to do with your house and storms and weathers, and sometimes it's not smart to stay, okay? But depending on what it is going to determine that emergency plan that you're building. Number 4 is going to be purchase the preparedness items, right? So if you're in hurricane season, right, or hurricane area, you're obviously going to buy all the things that you would need for hurricanes, protecting your home, right? Boarding up your home, getting all the things that you need, right? Getting the food, water, if you're going to hunker down, if you're not, but making sure that your home is ready to go in every aspect that you can, okay? Anything that has to do with preparedness, you preparing and have food and water could make it. Those families that I just talked about that are on the outskirts, that maybe, yes, their town where they live, their home did not get leveled, but they are still dealing with no phones, no internet, no power, all of that stuff. So their level of preparedness is determining right now how well they are doing in regards to what's happening, right? If they are prepared, one, they're not waiting for Red Cross and somebody to come and make their way. Red Cross and them are busy right now with the hardcore hit places. Not necessarily have time to be going out and feeding the outskirts people, okay? So think about that. If you're prepared, then you're taking care of yourself, and it's not such a dire situation with no power and stuff because you prepared for that. Okay, so number 5 I have is build evacuation bags. So basically with any of those things I mentioned, when it comes to natural disasters, you're building emergency plans, and yes, there's a lot of things that could happen preparedness wise that you would, like when we talk about chaos and end of the world and catastrophic events and economic collapse and things like that, CME, EMP, that type of stuff, you're staying home. You're not going anywhere. There's nowhere to go. There's chaos outside. You're not leaving. But when it comes to natural disasters, a lot of times you do leave, right? There's a threat of a fire, you're leaving. There's an earthquake happened and your house is literally falling down around you. You have to leave for safety reasons, right? Hurricanes coming, they tell you to leave, you're leaving, right? Tornado, yes, that's a little bit different because it's a last minute thing. You're literally leaving though to get to, a bunker of some sort, right? Some kind of tornado shelter that you're trying to make it to, okay? And so you don't necessarily need a bag. You would have some supplies though in that bunker area. And then eventually if you left that bunker, you come out and it's destroyed, you could take that then bag you had in the bunker with you and leave with that. Okay. It's crazy, right? Because that's a whole other beast. People keep asking me, what would you do? But it's different. Okay. Every situation and every natural disaster is a little bit different, and its level of severity is a little bit different as well. Number 6 I have is build your level of protection and lower the risk. So this one right here is your bread and butter. This is where you're thinking about, okay, where do I live? What happens? And what could I do? Okay, you live in a colder area and you have to worry about storms and heavy snow and this and that and power outages. Okay, weatherizing your house, weatherizing your pipes. You know, it's a fire area. Okay, having your fire breaks, having your fire roof and your siding that's fire resistant, right? Doing things like that. Even something as simple as earthquake, people, earthquake country, you know, making sure everything is bolted down and strapped down in your home so that you don't lose some items. Okay, having heavy pieces of furniture identify that you know where you could hide under in every single room if there was an earthquake. You know, a tornado, having first of all as sturdy of a house that you can have, a brick, stone, right? Having multiple bunker areas to go to. Do you get caught outside? Where do you go? You get caught inside? Where do you go? Having extra alarms, whatever it is you can do to get the jump and know and be able to get to those places that you can to be safe. Okay. It's hard when we talk about tornado because it's just so quick. I mean, you can sleep through an alarm. Some people, they say they never wake up. They go to bed and they had no idea what hit them, right? There's just no time. And so, but the best you could do is if you lived in those areas, that's what you would do. I say all the time, somebody asked me a long time ago, what would you do if you lived in an area with tornadoes? And money was not a factor. Okay, if I did, I'm building my home in the earth, okay? Most of my home would be in the earth and a little as possible showing and exposed, and the part that's heavy and exposed, I would be having some sort of way to totally shut that down and shut it off. And that's what I would be doing, right? I would have a lot of stone or brick work outside for anything that was outside, like chicken coops, whatever. And I just would do the best that I could do to fortify my home, okay? There's nothing else you can really do. It's hard. Hurricanes down there, I would probably, if I lived down there, I'd have a heavy duty stone or brick home to start with. And then again, I would listen to the weather people. And if it looked like it was too much, we would board up, we would sandbag, we would do the things right to help to hopefully protect your home. But we would leave if that was what was, it's too dangerous to stay, okay? So you're going to do things to your home to fortify it and to make it safer depending on what situation you're dealing with. Let's see. You live in a place that has a ton of flooding. One, you need to get out of there. But let's just say you didn't. I'd have a boat, an inflatable boat ready to go that easily is by a ladder that I could easily and quickly get to the top of my roof. I would have sandbags. I'd be sandbagging all the time when it came to weather patterns and different storms coming and trying to protect your home. There's big blow up things that you can get to go and surround your house. You can move earth and make either moats or berms to protect your home. There's a lot you can do, but again, it's hardcore, right? Sometimes, there's flash flooding. Sometimes you get no warning at all. But my point is, if you think about what it is that normally happens in your area, that's where you start. What normally happens in your area, start there, build upon that, protect your home, fortify your home on that presence, and then pretense. And then, you can go from there on, hey, what is the next thing that could happen, right? And then you build upon that, okay? Next thing I have, or last thing I have, is what's your long-term plan B? What were folks' plan? You have to have a plan on if your home gets totally destroyed, whether that's a tornado, whether that's a fire, whether that's an earthquake that totally devastates your home, whatever that is, what is plan B? Long-term plan B, right? Will we wait for some kind of insurance money and then try to move to a different state? Have you researched what state you would go to? Are you just going to go to family? Are you just going to go with the flow and figure out what you're going to do? But you have time now to kind of figure out what plan B would be so that it's not so sporadic. It's not so, we don't know what we're doing. I get it that obviously plan B might be money. Money's involved with that, right? Not everybody could just be, I'm going to buy a cabin that we could move to, right? I get that, okay? So, planning and trying to figure out what's plan B. Maybe it's, you have an RV And if something's coming, you have time, you get in the RV, you guys evacuate like normal. And then obviously if something happens to the home, that's your fallback plan B, is you at least have that structure that you guys can live in until you figure out what you can do, right? And even after they've done the initial stuff, you can come back in with your RV. Now, tornado, obviously you don't have time. Now I will tell you this though, they didn't have time. But we knew from weather channels we were watching that heavy storms were coming, and that there would be heavy, probability of tornadoes. So in this instance, we were warned that, hey, a storm is coming that has the ability to have pop-up tornadoes. And that absolutely is what happened. And so you could, hey, every time something like this, we get any kind of warning, I get it, the probability of happening is very low. But hey, we take that RV and we head over a couple states over and we just hit the road, okay? And again, I understand that not everybody can do that. People have jobs, people have things that they have to do, right? But I'm just trying to get you to think through plan Bs and how and what that could look like. Maybe you do have a rental that you could even go to. Maybe a storm's coming and you guys decide, hey, we're just going to take a mini vacation and go to this rental place and stay there while stuff happens, and then you can figure it out, right? I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if you stay and you say, hey, look, let's sit down, let's talk about tornadoes, let's talk about where we'd go. Maybe we don't go to work while these storms are happening. We stay at the house, feet from the shelter where we know we can go real quick if something pops off, and not be out and about, not be at work, not be across town, but be literally feet from this, since we know that this could happen, so that we can go. But at the end of the day, your house is destroyed. You come out of that bunker or that area. What was the plan B? Okay. Because possibly, like they did, you could be coming out of a shelter to total destruction, right? Meaning your house, your car, all of that stuff gone, the RV, all of that stuff, okay? And I get it. This is kind of a hard topic. It's kind of, there's certain things you can't prepare for. And I get that. I prepare for everything though. And you can't tell me, like, if I live somewhere, I will tell you all day long what I would do to prepare, whether it's fires, tornadoes, hurricanes, whatever. I know exactly what I would personally be doing to fortify my home, to protect my home, to lower my risk, okay? Because not everybody can just say, oh, well, there's tornadoes here, we're moving. We're going to sell and we're going to leave. And to be honest, I don't know that that would be safe. I joke all the time that it's so funny that, I don't know if you guys know this, but a lot of homes, and I'm talking about the homes now, like suburbia homes here, have fireplaces, you guys. And it cracks me up because nobody's lighting their fireplaces off here. Like, it's hot here. It's not, it doesn't get cold like that. And so I always joke that, wow, if some weather gets sent towards, California, and all of a sudden it's snowing in California, well, at least we know all these houses have fireplaces already. People probably don't know how to get wood and all that stuff, but at least they have that in their homes, right? Already kind of, they don't use them, but there's something there. So I joke all the time about, when the snow storms come to California someday, hey, they have their fireplaces at least already, in their homes, and they're not having to think about that. But I don't think we're really safe anywhere, right? I think that anything could happen at any time. And I also think that we should be prepared, because I think that those situations where other places that don't deal with stuff, we're going to start seeing that more and more with natural disasters and things and weather patterns changing so drastically, that things happen in places that, like exactly what just happened, things are happening in places that have not dealt with this stuff for years and years and years. And I think you're going to start seeing situations pop up here and there with, unprecedented things that just haven't been happening in those areas, and all of a sudden they do. So I know that was a lot. Let me know in the comments below, you guys, your thought process on anything that I said in this video, about anything, right? And I'll see you guys tomorrow on the next video. Take care. Bye.